Richie Blackmore, Yngwie Malmsteen, Jason Becker, Michael Romeo, Alexei Laiho, all guitar gods of the neoclassical style. Today's lesson we're going to deep dive into the neoclassical style, and I'm going to arm you with some licks, tips, and tricks to help you get that neoclassical sound and incorporate it into your playing today. Okay guys, so today's lesson I'm going to split into two parts. The first part is we need to understand what we're doing. So yes, we are going to explore some theory. We're going to look at the A harmonic minor scale, what makes this scale and what gives it its signature sound and why it's used and incorporated in the neoclassical style so prevalently. We're also going to look at some techniques. So the two techniques we're going to explore in today's video, which is part 1 of 2, is alternate picking and legato. We will start by looking at some of these tools and then how we're going to be using them, and then diving straight into some examples so that you can incorporate some licks, tips, and tricks into your playing today. I will give you these licks at both fast and slow tempos so we can break them down and you can work away and build the speed up so that you can get that signature neoclassical style sound. And you can hear how they're intended to sound quickly and then work at them slowly and build them up. I'll also be back with part 2 for this video, where we'll explore sweep picking and arpeggios. That's a whole other topic, so make sure you stay tuned and check out that video as well if you want to learn how sweep picking and arpeggios are incorporated into the neoclassical style. Okay guys, so let's get stuck into firstly the A harmonic minor scale. So if you guys are completely new to scales, don't worry, I'm going to basically be breaking this down so it's super easy for you guys to pick up and learn. If you do have experience with scales, then awesome. Some of this theory that I explain will make a little bit more sense to you, but you always want to be understanding what you're doing on the guitar, at least to a basic level, so that we can kind of sound how we want to sound. So we're going to start with the following scale. Firstly, I am going to play the A minor scale, which is a 7-note diatonic scale. And it's most commonly used in a lot of metal and rock. So it sounds like this. Now, most of you will be familiar with this scale. Some it will be a little new to you, and that's okay. But I highly recommend that you learn this scale and you get to understand this scale both on the fretboard and then also by your ear if it is new to you. The intervals inside of this scale, for you guys that know a little bit more about your theory, we have a 1, we have a 2 up here, which is a tone apart from the 1, so we're jumping a whole fret. Then we're going to move a half tone here to a flat or minor 3rd. We move to a perfect 4th, a 5, then a flat 6, then a flat 7. And then we reach our root note, the upper octave here. So, that's our classic metal scale that is used in pretty much every metal song that you can think of. Of course, there's exceptions to that, but it is the most dominant scale that you will see inside of the metal and hard rock genre. Now, when neoclassical comes in the A harmonic minor scale, it takes the minor scale, those 7 notes, but it changes one of them, and it drastically alters the sound that we get, and it's the signature sound of the neoclassical style. So what we're going to do, we're going to play almost the exact same scale, but we are going to change the 7th note. We're going to change it from a flat 7, which was on the 5th fret of the 4th string, and we're going to move it to this note, which is a major 7. This is the 6th fret on the 4th string. So when we put this in context of our scale, we get this really beautiful, rich, and exotic sound. So we've just transformed the sound and the tone out of what we're getting out of the guitar and the instrument by just making one tiny modification on one note in this scale. This is why your theory is important and why you have to understand what you're doing. So, minor, harmonic minor. So the first thing is to get this under the fingers if you haven't already. Okay, so now that we understand the theory of what we're using with the A harmonic minor scale, we want to extend this scale up the board because we're going to need this with some of the licks that we're going to use. So, our scale using a 3-note per string method becomes this. Descending. So, that is the A harmonic minor scale in what I consider the 5th position here using the 3-note per string method. Now, we want to firstly practice this scale with alternate picking, so a simple down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up motion on the right hand. So I'll move back here so you can see my right hand. That is the first technique that's very important in this neoclassical style. The second technique that's very important is really strong legato. So legato is where we are only picking the string when we first hit it, in most cases, and then we are either hammering on or pulling off for the remaining notes on that string. So what this looks like when we incorporate this into the A harmonic minor scale is this. So we get this really, really beautiful, even more kind of exotic, fluid, emotive sound when we're using this technique and combining it with the scale. So the next thing that's really, really unique and signature to the neoclassical style that isn't found in many other styles of music or genres on the guitar is taking this harmonic minor scale and looking at it linearly or just on one string. So lots of guys, Yngwie Malmsteen, Michael Romeo, Alexi Laiho, have countless examples where they have single string licks that are blazing fast and incorporate the harmonic minor scale and sound really, really cool. And it's very, very unique to this style of guitar playing. So if we take the harmonic minor scale, we're going to get this. Now, just take note of my hand position changes. They're very important because you don't want to be tripping over your hand when you're playing guitar this way. Okay, so now let's get into some exercises and some licks. Now that we've gone through the theory and done the hard part, let's have some fun. All right, so let's get into some licks. So there's a very common thing that happens in the neoclassical style, which is called pedaling. So I'm going to give you your first pedal pattern, and we're going to do this at the top of the 5th position using the A harmonic minor scale. Firstly, what we're going to do is just get the fingering right. So I'm going to play this, and then I'll break it down and explain it. Okay, so what we're doing here is the following pattern. We're playing the 5th fret, followed by the 8th fret with your pinky, then the 7th fret with your 3rd finger, back to the 8th fret with your pinky. Licks like this can be really difficult when we're starting out in this neoclassical style because there's a very, very heavy use of the 3rd and 4th finger. And usually these are weakest for most guitarists. So what that means is that we need to develop a fair bit of strength. And this is a great exercise to do that, to build up your coordination. Now, I'm not showing the right hand here, but we do want to be alternate picking this as well. Then what we want to be doing is incorporating some legato with this, and this is going to really, really work out the left hand. And we just want to focus on getting each note's speed the same so that you're not making some notes faster or slower than others. And also the volume of each note the same. So it should almost sound like alternate picking. And that's a fantastic exercise to be able to build this hand strength. Okay, so now that we have our first pedal pattern, what we're going to do is move this up the A harmonic minor scale linearly on the first string. So we get this. Pretty cool, right? So what we're going to do here is play the following notes. So 5, 8, 7, 8 twice. Then we're going to shift the first finger to the 7th fret. We're going to go 7, 10, 8, 10 twice. Shift your first finger to the 8th fret. We're going to go 8, 12, 10, 12 twice. Then shift to the 10th fret. We're going to go 10, 13, 12, 13. Now here's where it gets interesting because we need to include this major 7. That's the signature note of the A harmonic minor scale in the neoclassical style. So we're going to go 12, 16, 13, 16. So a bigger stretch here. Do that twice. Now move to 13. We're going to go 13, 17, 16, 17. Move to 16 and we're going to go 16, 19, 17, 19. Then we arrive back home at the octave of where we started. We're going to play 17, 20, 19, 20 twice. And we get that. And you can take that pattern and you can play it anywhere along the scale and you're going to get a really cool neoclassical style sound. Okay guys, so pedal pattern number 2 now. What we're going to be doing is taking this first position of the A harmonic minor scale again. We're going to play the 5th fret, followed by the 8th fret, 7th fret, and then the 5th fret again. So we're going to get a double up on the 5th fret when we play this exercise. It sounds like this. Okay, so start with alternate picking with this one. Then you can move into legato, which will sound like this. It's a great coordination exercise for your left hand and your right hand and getting them to talk together. Now that we have this pedal pattern down, we want to move this around the A harmonic minor scale. So we're going to do this in a slightly different way this time. It's going to sound like this. So what we're going to do here, we're going to play 5, 8, 7, 5. Then we're going to shift the first finger back to the 4th fret and we're going to play with the sacred harmonic minor note here, 4, 7, 5, 4. Then we're going to shift our first finger up to the 7th position. We're going to play 7, 10, 8, 7. Back to 5, 8, 7, 5. Now come up to the 8th fret. We're going to play 8, 12, 10, 8. Move to the 7th fret with your first finger, 7, 10, 8, 7. Come back to the 5th fret, and then move back to the 4th fret. So we get it's a very, very common neoclassical phrase that you're going to see everywhere in this style of music. And now we're going to do something really cool with this pedal pattern. So we're going to now start at the upper octave of this A harmonic minor scale. And we're going to move our way down the scale on this first string, and we get a really cool pattern out of this. So this is what it sounds like. Pretty cool. I love this lick. And it's one that you can build a fair bit of speed with once your hands get really coordinated. Super fun, this one. So what we're going to do, we're going to start at the 17th fret. And we're going to do our pedal pattern from there. Then we're going to move back one position to the 16th fret, do our pedal pattern there. 13th fret, 12th fret, 10th fret, 8th fret, 7th fret, 5th fret. Super cool. And our next lick, we're going to do something really cool with. So we're going to take a little 2-string segment out of the harmonic minor scale. We're going to start at the 13th fret here and look at this little 5-note grouping here that includes the harmonic minor note. Now, what becomes tricky with this is if we have a strict alternate picking pattern, our alternate picking pattern gets broken by a 5-note grouping of notes. So when we then want to take this 5-note grouping of notes and move it around the fretboard, every time we're playing another 5-note grouping of this pattern, we're inverting our alternate picking pattern. So it gets quite tricky. So you have to be really careful here to keep a very, very strict alternate picking pattern. Now this lick sounds like this. Pretty cool. Now this one is used very commonly by Yngwie Malmsteen. Michael Romeo likes some patterns like this at times as well. Now you can also do this one with legato. It gets quite tricky with legato because we're moving this hand backwards in this direction, trying to catch this note and then change our hand position back to the pinky very quickly. So it's one to practice slowly if you are doing it with legato. So this lick, as I break this down, we're going to go the 13th fret on the E string, 12 and 10, and then we're going to do the same 3 notes, or same 3 frets I should say, on the B string, 13, 12, 10, and then add the harmonic minor, so 9. So we get... Then we're going to repeat its octave. So on the G string, we're going to go 10, 9, 7, 10, 9, 7, 6 on the D string. Now move down to the 8th fret on the A string. We're going to go 8, 7, 5, 8, 7, 5, 4 on the bottom string. And then finish on the root. Awesome, so that's all we've got for today. So make sure you stick around for my part 2 video of my Neoclassical series in getting started on Neoclassical guitar, where we're going to be exploring arpeggios and we're also going to be exploring sweep picking.